Hello, hello. It is day 182 of my 365-day raw suspending disbelief journey. And actually, I'm recording for this day. So here's the thing. We're going to put this all straight out in the open because this is the real and raw podcast, right? So, this week was like slogging through mud. As far as listening goes, this next week that's coming up. So it is actually today, Sunday the 27th. Okay, it is, which is like day 188. I somehow glitched or something. I missed this week, this entire week. The last recording that I did was on Sunday the 20th. So I am a little bit annoyed at myself for having missed that many days in a row somehow, some way, somehow. And also realizing I feel like it may be a little bit of a self-sabotage thing. Because day 182, so for Monday the 21st of October, which is what I'm recording for right now, or right between day 182 and 183 is the halfway mark for the year. This is literally the tipping point into the second half, right, of this year, of this 365-day raw suspending disbelief journey. And somehow the day that second half begins is when I dropped off. So, and it's not the first time that I've dropped off. There have been times where there's been like a couple of days or a few days, or even, I can't remember, what was it, 6 or 7 the last time, around when I had done my live on stage talk. So I definitely feel like anything that I am avoiding like this, for that many days in a row, there must be, and I wasn't mostly consciously avoiding it. There was a couple of nights where I remembered right as I was plugging in my phone and was about to go climb in bed and was like, I don't want to right now. And not that has never been a thing before, but when I get into a routine and a habit and I feel like I don't want to, it's easier to stick to actually doing it. Anyways, even though I don't want to, versus once I've broken out of that habit and then I have that thought, then it's like, I'll just start again tomorrow, and then procrastinating it and realizing all of a sudden that it's been 7 days. So, not cool, but also okay. I see it, right? I see it for what it is and I'm accepting it for what it is and realizing that that halfway point is a huge milestone and that maybe some upper limit self-sabotaging type behaviors came into play this week. It was also the energy this week was very interesting. It was very it wasn't just me. So that's why I say that part of it was a self-sabotage. So as far as this day went, though, Monday the 21st of October 2024, it was one of the first days that I had off. And not off, but like I still had lots of work to do, but I had no calls. I had nothing on my schedule. And that is lately a luxury. So it has been like I know that I've mentioned on the podcast lots of times, it's been lots of calls lately. And actually I think I will just do a combined episode here because I've got all these days to go through. And really the thing looking back is I can't remember specific day-to-day details in like an overarching, here's a piece of wisdom for you kind of a way. But when I look at the whole week, I can see a theme. And the theme was not showing up. and not just for me. So it was like, me not showing up to do these episodes. So day 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, and 188. Okay, like let's just go with it. 7 days. There's been 7 days. That is October 21st through the 27th is the actual today of October 2024. So I had a day with no calls. That was amazing. That was incredible. I was really excited about that. um, then on Tuesday, I had it was really interesting. So I Tuesday is my Butterfly Network focus day. I also had a call for the Offer Evolution Circle, which is another program that I'm running. And on that call, everyone was sort of like, nobody was caught up. Nobody had been able to do the replays that they were supposed to have had been finished with that didn't make the last call before that, or lots of people weren't able to make it to the call and weren't, and I knew that they weren't caught up either. And it was just like, okay, well, if nobody's there, I don't want to move off into the next piece if we're not ready. So I had to do some rearranging of the schedule on that one because and this isn't intended to make, any of you who are listening who are part of the Offer Evolution Circle, and maybe you were one of the ones that got behind or whatever. This is not intended to bash or insult or demean in any way. It was just sort of this general energy through this week of not showing up to do the thing, not, delivering on the promises to ourselves and to other people. So I had, like I said, I wasn't showing up. I wasn't recording these every night. The people in the Offer Evolution Circle were not showing up or were not catching up on the work. They weren't able to put their efforts in, or able or choosing, whatever the case may be, but they weren't getting themselves to where they needed to be, right? They weren't putting in the work to get to where they wanted to go. And sometimes we just go through phases. Sometimes we're just in that energy and it is what it is. And when I start to notice it collectively, like when everybody's sort of doing the same thing, I know that it is not just me. I know that it is something in the collective energy, is something astrologically maybe, or whatever. So that was Tuesday. And even with that, even with the Butterfly Network, it was sort of, there was a lot less interaction going on. There was a lot less people in asking questions during my office hours, and so on. So that was Tuesday. And then Wednesday, the 23rd, day 184, was I usually have on Wednesday mornings a mastermind call that I'm a part of. And in that case, the lady who leads the mastermind, her power was out, so she wasn't able to run it, and she wasn't able to get anywhere that had power and had the ability for her to do it. So our call got canceled. Then later that day, I had a call scheduled with a client who just didn't show up. And then we had actually, even on Monday, so back to the 21st, sorry, I'm jumping all over a little bit. On day 182, I had a shamanic session that was planned that was just too overwhelming for that person mixed with everything else that was going on. So that got pushed back as well. And then yeah, so then on Wednesday, a client that just no showed, they got the times mixed up, and whatnot, right? So it was, like I said, it was just really this theme all week. Just of not being able to do the things, right? Not being able to show up, deliver, do what we said we were going to do, whatever the case may be. And actually looking at it, like continuing on through the week, it kept going. So October 24th on Thursday, it was day 185. I usually have my Spiral of the Rose podcast recording an episode with Kelly, and it was the same. I can't even remember what specifically happened, but we ended up canceling that call. Like we're ahead on recordings anyways, and we were like, we don't need it right now. Like we just needed to skip over it because of whatever else was going on, and it was fine that we did that. but it didn't happen, right? So same kind of thing happened, and it took until Friday before an actual call happened. Oh, Thursday night I had signed up to be at something and I didn't go to it. I totally forgot about it. And it just was all week. So it really feel like this energy of maybe we all need to recommit a little bit to the things that matter to us, that we need to actually prioritize them and choose them, right? Choose them again and again and again. And um I mean, going into the weekend, it wasn't so bad. It was on Saturday I had the kids with me and there was a birthday party, another birthday party. So I took the kids to the birthday party. It was crazy. Everything was, whatever. It was a regular Saturday with the kids kind of thing. And then um it was all of a sudden by the end of Saturday, my energy, I hit this wall. I hit this feeling of like lack of faith in the collective was really what I was getting with, like, in humanity, lack of faith in other people to be there for me, or even in myself to be there for them. And um just this I really got down, and it was really all of a sudden. But considering, like, looking back at the week where I'm like, well, nobody showed up for calls with me, or I didn't show up for calls with that, like, or I didn't show up to record on my own, or, whatever. Like the call that I missed was a group call that I didn't have to be there live for, and I can catch a replay for, but it was still that same energy of just not showing up for what we're planning. And then, yeah, by the end of the day on Saturday, I really hit this wall of just like, it felt like the whole human race was unreliable. Everything was just off. And um, feeling very alone and feeling very like, there's a lot of what I do is focused around community. So for me, feeling very alone and feeling like I can't rely on humanity is a very unusual feeling for me. So it really stood out. So that's why I'm drawing the attention to it. And what's really interesting is that carried into Sunday morning for me. And I had spent a few hours crying on Saturday night. Like, the energy was so intense, of feeling that way and of feeling like completely isolated, and it just out of the blue. Again, this is not my general feeling lately. That was just how I all of a sudden felt. And it carried into Sunday morning. And on Sunday, which is actually today, day 188 of 365, October 27th, I had scheduled a mixer in my Heartbeats Harbor group. So I do these mixers. They are networking without the selling. They are like, get to know people who are on the same path as you, who get you, who really understand where you're coming from, and who have similar life experiences, and build friendships and build your community and build your tribe. So they are incredible and I love them and they light me right the F up. And yet when I woke up on Sunday, I was still in that energy and I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't, like, what's the point? And just not really feeling it. And I'm so like, I'm so glad that I ended up doing it, and it was fantastic as usual. It always is. But I really, really was in that energy, and it ended up, I woke up to a friend of mine saying the same thing, basically, like, just, I'm just done with people right now. And I feel like people are so unreliable, and kind of like all of these kinds of things. And then, even hopping onto that mixer, some of the ladies were saying very, very similar things. So it is definitely a collective energetic thing. So if you're listening to this, whenever you're listening to this, because I know it's going to take a while for all of these episodes, or for this episode to come out, um, or it's going to seem really behind the actual times when things were happening. Whatever. Anyways, if you've been feeling the same thing, just know that it's collective and that you're not alone. And it's really interesting because I actually, so for what happened was, on Sundays, I send healing, out to the collective. I send healing out throughout the whole world, basically, but also specifically to people who request it on a thread in my group. And I spend a good chunk of time, like usually at least a good half hour, just really clearing the energy for myself and in my home, so that I'm starting from this place of real deep clarity and um, being in my own energy and all of that. And then I set protections, and then I really tune in and I start sending energy. And every time, every single time when I do this, it is beautiful. It feels amazing. It leaves me feeling amazing, and other people are able to receive that healing and love and energy that I send. And that was the turning point for me. Like, it switched me doing all of that clearing and then setting my protections and then really being tuned into that divine energy and the, like, calling in Reiki. Now that I have Reiki and like all of these things just added to it, I really got out of that I'm alone in this, can't depend on humanity, like can't trust anybody kind of a feeling that I had been in before that. And so I was able to come out of that, thankfully. And then I had the mixer, and um specifically one of the ladies on the mixer was saying she had been feeling very similar things. So we talked about that quite a bit, and I think a lot has to do with, there's the American election is going on, and there's a lot of stuff going on in the world, and I think just collectively it's an energy that is sort of being felt throughout. And I know that I've talked about on this podcast before, collective energies and uh how quickly and suddenly they can affect us, and especially when we don't have our protections up, right? So if we get off track with doing our protections or clearing our energy or any of that kind of stuff, how it can suddenly hit. And sometimes just being open, because we don't always want to be closed off. That's not what protections are about. Sometimes we just get hit with it before we have a chance to stop it, and then we have to catch it and clear it out, right? And I think just because I was at this birthday party, I was around a lot of people. And then I like even going to drop my kids off. I was dropping them off to their dad at his friend's place, who had recently just lost his father and was in mourning and all of these things. So there was a lot of sort of this grief and feeling maybe abandoned or feeling alone or whatever energy that I was around. And I was around a lot of other people. So already being out in public around other people and open to, talking to people and being in their energy and getting to know new people and making friends, or, whatever the case may be, that does open us up to picking up on the collective energy, on not only picking up on other people's energy that we are near, but also it opens us more to picking up on that collective energy. So I definitely was more open to it at that point, and then was really feeling it. And I had the thoughts like, I need to go clear my energy, or I should go clear my energy, or whatever. And I just thought some of the stuff that was coming up for me was around like actually just feeling lonely. And um, it's not something that I feel or am tuned into feeling, I guess, every day, all the time, or whatever. But it brought up a lot of feelings around like 2.5 years ago now, when I left my husband. When I was with him, he had ended up isolating me from a lot of the people that I was close with, and I lost a lot of those friendships. And they've just never been the same, no matter what I've done ever since, right? And part of that is me realizing that I was the only one putting in effort. And then once I wasn't able to, those people weren't doing it. Or for others, it was they would put in effort, but I wasn't able to reciprocate or be open to it when I was with him, because of just the situation with him being he was a narcissist, and taking me away from my supports and everything served his purposes. So anyways, I don't want to go into all of that, but I ended up being separated from my circles and put into his circles. And then when I left him, I also lost his circles. So now I didn't have mine, I didn't have his, and I was alone. And that's not fully true. Like, my family is still there for me and things like that. But even a lot of my family connections, with certain members of my family grew a lot more distant. We're not as close as we used to be, um, ever since that happened. And again, even with family, that still applies that, those who were never the ones reaching out, when it was always me, when I stopped being able to reach out, the relationship just sort of fell flat, right? And that really speaks to that relationship and how it was beforehand. So, um, anyways, I've done a lot of healing around the relationships that fell off when I was with my husband. Um, but what I hadn't really done a lot of healing around was how alone I felt after I left him and didn't have even the new friendships that I had built in the decade that I was with him, um, with his friends, with his family, and everything, and how I lost all of the connections I had basically by leaving him. And that being, it was the right choice for me to leave, but it was also the hardest thing I've ever done because it left me completely alone. Um, and I'm saying that in energetic terms, in friendships, in, all of that. I like, my mom stuck around, there's people who still were there for me. And, I had absolutely created some relationships online by this point where I had, started to build my online family. But it is a little bit different. And I think that we all know that. So, um, all of that just to say that yesterday, when these feelings of separation, of not being sort of one with the collective, um, and knowing how much we're all connected and all of that, when I started feeling all of that, it really brought up those pieces. And it was in particular because this friend who had lost his father, um, was a good friend for a decade. And I lost that friendship, and him and his wife, were our friends, and they were originally my husband's friends. And so when I left, I lost them. Right. And, that was really hard, and they were great people. And, um, it was nice to see them for a minute. It was nice to give them a hug. It was nice to connect, but it was also a reminder of everything that I lost 2.5 years ago when I left him. So it really hammered in that feeling for me, and nailed it home. So, I spent a good few hours crying last night, um, processing that emotion through my body. And that was, I haven't had a night of crying like that in, I don't know. It's not something that I experience a lot of, right? So it was, it was probably very needed. It's something that has now come to my awareness that I probably need to focus on healing a little bit more. And it also, really just tied in with the collective energy. So, um, I know I'm kind of all over the place with this, but I hope that that helps someone else, if they've been feeling similar, because I know that if there's a few of us feeling this way, it is collective. Um, and just knowing that we're not alone, that it's okay, that, sometimes we feel alone even when we're not, and that that's also okay. And, um, the moments when we feel alone are still valid, even if we're not technically alone. And those feelings of loneliness and of separation and of not being able to, you know, rely on humanity whatsoever, or, they were very extreme feelings, but it was just like I had a complete lack of faith in humanity all of a sudden. And that is the opposite of how I ever feel. So it was like, whoa, where is this coming from? And, again, part of it was my immediate experience and this reminder of the loss that I had 2.5 years ago, of all of my friend groups that I had now created, my secondary set of friend groups through my husband's friends. And then into um, the collective energy, like they just really tied in together. So anyway, so that was cleared up for me by doing that healing session today. And then going into the mixer, I was able to point out to the, especially to the one lady who was mentioning she was feeling it, the collectivism of this and the pattern that I had sort of noticed. And then it was really interesting, um, because I kept on. So afterwards, I had decided, like, I gave myself a deadline for this weekend that I was going to get these card readings done that I had offered. It was one of the offers that I dropped in August during my birthday month. Four ladies had won a card reading from me, and I had not delivered on those yet because of everything else that's been happening and everything with my website and so on and so on. And I even informed my email list and everybody basically, right, just saying like, I am delivering as fast as I can. It's going to take a little longer than I had hoped. And, I am prioritizing paid work over the freebies that I was giving out and things like that. So they will come. I haven't forgotten you, but they're coming. So anyways, I had these 4 card readings that were just sitting, waiting to be done. And, I thought, what a great time when I am, I've done all this clearing in my house and of myself and put up all these protections and all of this, and I'm really tuned into the energy. What a great time to do these readings. So, um, and I knew that I was going to be in that, so I scheduled them for today, and I did them, and it's really interesting because there was a lot of similarities between messages about um, collaborating in community, being a theme, like the number 3, which to me has a lot to do with collaborations and community. There was a lot of 3s and 33s and things like that. And there was also one card that just kept trying to come out, and a couple of times it actually was for the people involved, and a couple of the times it wasn't. But it just kept trying to come out. And again, that is the collective energy when that's happening. Um, and even my own energy. But the card that was trying to come out was called Repairing the Veil and Forgiveness. And that forgiveness being key, right? Of like, we've had these past hurts and we need to let go of them, so that we can remember that we are all one. And we everything that we do and everything that we are and every way that we act and whatever anything we do to someone else affects us, and vice versa. And um when we remember that we are all in it together, we're more conscious of our actions and we're more careful of our actions, and we're all responsible to heal and forgive and to do all of that work. And it just tied in so much with the energy. I thought it was really beautiful. And just sort of going into our daily lives with this perspective of, even when we're feeling really alone, when we're feeling really isolated, or, have lost faith in humanity kind of energy, that um, we are still choosing to actively search for healing and unity and harmony with others, and realizing that, we are maybe feeling that we're alone, but that probably also means that others are as well. And so we all have a responsibility to reach out. We all have a responsibility to connect and to um, build that web of humanity. And this last week just really highlighted that for me, in the last night and day. And just knowing, like, I had these feelings suddenly of not being able to rely on humanity, not having faith in humanity, and of feeling alone and all of these things, but that's not my normal energy. And um, it's not truly what I believe. And it was just sort of the collective energy that was coming through. And so it really highlighted to me how important it is to be building those connections, to be building our networks, to be building these friendships and communities. And I mean, this is something that I talk about all the time. It's like my main message is about community. And I just found it such a dramatic, like stark contrast kind of a situation this last week. And then especially today, going from one energy into the other when I did that healing energy and just got completely clear and put up protections and got connected and everything. When I did that, I was able to get um, more tuned into my reality and what I actually believe and what I actually feel around community and connections and not feeling alone and not feeling like humanity isn't worth saving kind of an energy. Like it was so drastic, the shift and the difference between it. So if you were feeling that in the last week, you were not alone in that. It was huge. It was a very, very consistent energy across the board. So yeah, that is my all over the place and sporadic messages that I have for you today and for the last week. And I am going to try to stop this self-sabotage and stop this procrastination and get on doing these episodes each day. And hopefully I will get them out more consistently going forward. Going to do my best. So that is what I have for you today, and I will talk to you all tomorrow.